Legend tells of a legendary warrior.
Narration.
Which is meant to build Poe's character. This opening dream sequence is meant to establish Poe's love of Kung Fu and the Furious Five, so the narration here is required.
How did Poe get down from that high up so quickly? He's either mastered teleportation in his fantasy, or this is later. All his former foes are gone, and it's just raining cats and dogs.
Are you seriously questioning logic in a dream?
Never before had a panda been so feared and so loved.
Pandas of the past have set a pretty low bar for both of those. Pandas mostly just lay around, eat bamboo, and don't have sex.
Okay. Why is this a sin of the movie? The way I see it, you basically supported Poe's point even more. He said, never before has a panda been so feared or so loved, and you just gave examples of why they wouldn't be.
The Furious Five seem rather nonchalant about being on fire.
Are you saying the Furious Five are on fire? Because just from this shot, the fire is clearly behind them. Even if this was true, this is an animated, stylized dream we're talking about here. It's dramatic like this on purpose.
The Furious Five!
I wonder how much DreamWorks had to pay Neil Moritz to call him that.
Oh, a Fast and Furious joke. This doesn't really work though, because this movie came out in 2008, 1 year before the fourth Fast film, so the hilarious titles of those movies weren't even known yet.
We should hang out.
Why is Monkey the only one who wants to hang out with him, even in his own fantasy?
Why is that the assumption you make, instead of Monkey saying what the other five are thinking?
Also, this is one of the 7 brief times Jackie Chan as Monkey gets to speak.
So I looked up the Kung Fu Panda script, and as it turns out, Jackie Chan actually has 9 lines in this movie. Hey, CinemaSins likes being overly nitpicky, why can't I?
Why are Poe's dreams/fantasies two-dimensional?
Because movies are art, and this is the kind of animation the filmmakers wanted to do to make their movies seem unique. Honestly, I think this is a genius idea. Since dreams aren't real, 2D animation doesn't look real, but 3D animation is closer to looking real, and so that's what it looks like in the real world. Even if you ignore what I said, who cares, Jeremy? Nobody was watching this movie and thinking that was a legit problem.
Oh, get up!
Is that small cot his bed?
Yes.
Poe was able to fall down the stairs without cutting the shit out of his hand with the ninja star he's holding.
Well, we're talking about a world where animals are basically humans, humans don't exist, and a panda learns freaking kung fu. But this is the most ridiculous thing to you?
How is Poe's father a duck? I mean, I'm all for adoption or animal-based movies, but in early China, a duck adopting a panda? I just don't see it.
Okay, this sin is actually inexcusable. Kung Fu Panda 2 came out in 2011, and you made this video in 2016 to hype up the then upcoming third film, so you definitely know that Ping found Poe in that radish basket and decided to take care of him because of his compassion.
Poe falls down the stairs, gets up, and picks up the radishes with both hands. Yet a ninja star ends up in these noodles?
And also in that flashback, Ping mentions that he decided not to use radishes in his noodle soups, so those aren't radishes.
Oh, happy day. My son finally having the noodle dream.
I don't know a lot about cooking noodles or owning a noodle restaurant, but is the only qualification having a dream about noodles? Specifically, the noodle dream? I didn't have a dream about making fun of movies for a living. Oh, wait, yeah, I did.
And this is also a world where peacocks invented fireworks. My point is that this world has different rules from ours.
How are those rabbits not super pissed that Poe and his dad are just chit-chatting and not serving them soup?
Says they're not serving them soup while showing Ping handing them soup.
Didn't you ever, I don't know, want to do something else? Something besides noodles?
It's the hero has dreams beyond what his family wants cliché, even though being a fourth-generation restaurateur sounds like a pretty nice gig.
Being a restaurateur is a better gig than Kung Fu?
Also, why do some of the noodle soup patrons get table service while the others pick up at the counter?
Maybe both of those are options that the customer gets to choose.
And does he really need to know the tables? I feel like he could just pass out noodles to whoever doesn't have noodles.
This is coming from someone who currently works customer service. Trust me, that kind of work has the potential to release a Karen.
Hilarity aside, shouldn't Master Oogway possess some kind of wind-altering power that would allow him to blow out all the candles with a simple tilt of the staff? Or does he need to attend the Lord Blackwood School of Extinguishment? Master Shifu attended the Lord Blackwood School of Extinguishment and didn't invite anyone else.
CinemaSins honestly explains this point better, but to summarize, this scene is meant to build character. Oogway is someone who takes his time and doesn't like to rush, while Shifu is someone who wants to get straight to the point.
So do all the creatures of this universe have low-resolution memories, or is it just Shifu and Poe?
Memories? You know the opening sequence was a dream, right? And once again, this is a stylistic choice.
Is that a magic staff? Does this turtle use magic? Why not use magic instead of kung fu?
In both sequels, this series has established that after learning Kung Fu, the student then moves on to learning how to do anything with the power of inner peace, and then how to harness their chi. This tells me that Kung Fu is needed to learn magic.
So did the Furious Five get dropped out of a helicopter, or do they all have the ability to jump 400 feet into the air?
Well, this is a silly question. One of the members has the ability to fly, for crying out loud, and he also has super strength. How is that not obvious to you?
The 1,000 tongues of fire.
I was disappointed to find out there is not an adult movie called this.
Jeremy sends something he likes cliche?
Every time I see them all together, I think to myself, there are 4 of them. Why are they called the Furious Five? Oh wait, I didn't see the Mantis. That's racist.
So the sin here is that Mantis is tiny? That's not a sin in the movie. That's a sin for you. You're right. That is racist.
The universe has brought us the Dragon Warrior.
Choosing the Dragon Warrior is an incredibly vague process. The oldest dude just points randomly, and whatever is in front of his finger is the winner.
As Oogway states, there are no accidents. He believes everything has a point to it.
There are no accidents.
Not believing in accident.
I disagree that that's a sin, but that should have debunked your last sin.
1,000 guards and 1 prisoner.
All subsidized by Valley of Peace tax dollars. Ridiculous. What must the taxes be like for these citizens?
Who cares?
Behold Tai Lung.
Between letting a random messenger in to see the world's most guarded prisoner and the haphazard way they chose Dragon Warrior, I'm concerned about this ancient Chinese animal society's looseness with safety and protocol.
Random messenger? This goose said he had a message from Master Shifu, and they're keeping a prisoner that presumably Shifu himself handed to them. Of course they'd let him in.
They made me Google, does China have rhinos? I'm not watching Kung Fu Panda to learn, people.
Yes, China has rhinos. And that point about not wanting to learn, I guess that explains their ignorance when it comes to comic book movies.
You will never be the Dragon Warrior until you have learned the secret of the Dragon Scroll.
So, how does this work? Do you have a ladder or a trampoline or...
Or perhaps a chair and some fireworks? Or maybe one of the Furious Five could just jump up there and get it.
Except Shifu himself then goes on to explain that he can't just hand the Dragon Scroll to Po, he has to earn it. And I'm pretty sure you've already seen this movie, so you know how Shifu ultimately gets it down.
So, is this duck their slave? Just asking.
Maybe it's a servant. Maybe it's an employee. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect the quality of the film. Nobody cares.
Or even see his toes.
This is 2 of the 7 times Jackie Chan gets to speak.
Oh, so we're continuing to use the wrong number. That's not going to get grading at all.
Also, why is Poe hiding out behind rocks along an obscure walkway in the middle of the night?
Because he's following the 5 to their bedrooms?
So does China use these kind of paper screens the same way Japan does? Kung Fu Panda, stop trying to make me learn.
Even if they don't, this isn't the real world we're talking about here, so this kind of question doesn't matter.
Is that what this is? I'm so sorry. I thought it was just a regular peach tree.
Poe may not have any kung fu skills at this point, but his talking with a mouthful of peaches skills are on point.
Ah, here's the questioning physics in a cartoon portion of the video.
Quit. Don't quit. Noodles. Don't noodles.
Don't noodles? What everyone may be interpreting as Oogway's wisdom is really just Oogway's Alzheimer's.
Jeremy conveniently leaves out the rest of Oogway's speech here, furthering the correct interpretation that he's being a wise sage.
For such a high-quality prison run by rhinos, they really didn't think through the restraining process, even though this prison is completely dedicated to Tai Lung. It's clear that he can escape if he just has any piece of anything.
Let's think about this for a second. The only way Tai Lung was able to escape is because of a goose's feather. That is something the guards didn't think about, and it's not something they would have thought would work. And he's currently tied up here, and the only way he got out was because the rhinos started shooting giant arrows at him, and Tai Lung was able to position chains to get hit by the arrows. That's an example of the rhinos underestimating him.
This takes the henchmen are terrible shots cliche to a whole new level. They have giant crossbows on mounts, and he is still relatively restrained.
You literally showed Tai Lung moving out of the way to dodge those arrows!
So this was pure luck for Tai Lung, which brings up the question. What was his plan if this didn't happen? Was he just going to pull those giant heavy rocks up and hope for the best?
Tai Lung has been here for years. I'm sure he knew about the giant crossbows above him.
You're not going anywhere, and neither is he.
Rhino Clark Duncan.
Are you sending this movie for having Michael Clark Duncan voice this rhino?
This escape is brought to you by Cartoon Physics, allowing Bugs Bunny to thwart other wascals since 1938.
Wait, so you are aware that this kind of movie doesn't follow real world rules? Then why are you constantly questioning that? In animated movies, having physics like this isn't a sin. In fact, audiences pretty much expect that whenever they watch one.
He's coming this way!
He won't get far.
This guard isn't acknowledging that he has already gotten pretty far.
When he says he won't get far, he's referring to getting to the top of the elevator. I'd say he's using the phrase correctly here.
Even dealing with this very implausible escape, how exactly did Tai Lung make it out of that fall? I guess the animators got too lazy to animate him out of that last predicament, so they just ignored it altogether.
That's actually kind of the point. The movie is trying to visually show you how powerful Tai Lung is. Just the fact that he's able to do this is supposed to make you go, whoa, how did he do that? Thus, making you scared of him once he fights the Furious Five and Poe later.
Rhino Helm scream.
Sending the Wilhelm scream.
Didn't place any of those 1,000 guards around the perimeter, huh?
Is this sin supposed to be a joke? Because it's clearly contradicted by these guards surrounding Tai Lung.
Did Tai Lung disintegrate him? Why are we just seeing this copper horn shield that has no obvious purpose drop to the ground?
That was Zeng's hat.
Fly back there and tell them the real Dragon Warrior is coming home.
This makes for a cool movie moment of evilness, I guess. But in no way does this make any military sense for the villain to do this. This is 1,000 times worse than monologuing. Sending advance word to the enemy/good guys that you're coming? Cocky is one thing, stupid is another.
Zeng was sent here because Shifu wanted him to double the security after Oogway had had a vision that Tai Lung was coming back. Tai Lung knows his master well, so he knows that they know he's coming back. He sends Zeng back to make them feel afraid, which is something bad guys love doing.
So I guess Shifu's plan is have the Furious Five beat the shit out of him until he decides to go home. I thought this was a family movie.
Well, yeah. Shifu thinks Oogway was wrong in choosing Poe, and so wants him to give up and possibly choose the real Dragon Warrior. What about this is kid inappropriate?
Cartoon or not, Poe is dead.
This sentence.
But he will.
Another reminder that Jackie Chan got paid handsomely to say 5 sentence fragments, and 2 complete sentences that will come later.
We're still lying about this? Really?
And he raised him as his son.
Father-son dynamic adds wholly unoriginal dynamic to the hero/villain dynamic in this movie.
So what if it is unoriginal? It's still compelling. Honestly, the whole backstory about how Shifu built up Tai Lung as the Dragon Warrior, only for Oogway to say that he isn't, is fantastic character building and explains Tai Lung's attitude in this movie.
But Oogway saw darkness in his heart and refused.
More Yoda Anakin ripoff.
Yeah, no. Oogway saw darkness in Tai Lung's heart, refused to make him the Dragon Warrior, and Tai Lung went on a rampage. Yoda saw darkness in Anakin's heart, refused to train him, but then changed his mind once Qui-Gon died, and Obi-Wan made it clear that he will train Anakin with or without the Council's approval. It wasn't until after Anakin was trained, lost his mother, married Padme, and then got tempted by Palpatine for him to finally start killing children.
This is what I'm talking about with the magic. Why the make the proteges go through literal kung fu gauntlets when there's obviously magic that can be taught? Are we sure this turtle is on the up and up?
Again, magic comes after learning kung fu. Oogway is over 500 years old, so obviously he knows this kind of magic by now.
There are no accidents.
Not believing in accidents.
Oh my gosh, how many of the sins in this video are just Jeremy repeating himself?
Someone needs to tell Shifu that not every moment requires kung fu.
You're telling me if you learned kung fu, you wouldn't be using that in everyday life all the time?
My time has come. You must continue your journey without me.
Oogway heard that Tai Lung was coming, and he accidentally picked a fat panda to be the Dragon Warrior, so he is getting the out of Dodge.
Because Oogway wants Shifu and Poe to learn the lesson that there is no secret ingredient on their own. This is extremely common in stories like this. Since we earlier brought up Star Wars, Luke had to do the same thing, learning how to resist the dark side without Yoda and Obi-Wan's help.
Let us stop, Tai Lung. This is what you've trained us for.
No. He trained them to defeat he who has already been defeated and subsequently imprisoned? It's convenient that he broke out, or all of their training would have been a waste of time.
Shifu immediately tells Tigress no, which implies that Tigress believes that's why they were trained. She was simply wrong.
The Pool of Sacred Tears.
Funny enough, the Pool of Sacred Tears was the name of my band in 8th grade.
You know, for a channel that's supposed to be funny, they sure aren't funny.
When you have been trained, you may eat.
So basically, Shifu is training Poe the same way I train my dog to sit, stay, and roll over.
Yes, exactly. Poe is different from the other Furious Five and needs food to motivate him in his everyday life. Shifu figured this out in the earlier scene when Po jumped high up just to grab a jar of cookies.
The inevitable training montage we all knew was coming. Imagine Jack Black in a booth recording kung fu sounds for this scene.
So, training montages are sins? Bet you love the Rocky movies.
I highly doubt that Po would be motivated by a bowl of steamed carrots and lettuce.
Considering pandas eat bamboo in real life...
You have been trained. You are free to eat.
Wow, years of kung fu training mastered in a business week. He must really be the Dragon Warrior.
Except it's not all mastered, judging by the fact that there are 2 more movies after this.
Kung fu dumpling hockey. Well, the kung fu version of the shell game is f***ing unfair as hell.
So what was the point of that sin removal?
I'm not hungry.
Shifu shouldn't be hungry either. He ate all the dumplings, which raises the question, why is Shifu viewing this as Po being successful? He only got 1 of the 11 dumplings. This is a kung fu battle where he can quantifiably see who the winner is.
Okay, screw it. I'll just play CinemaWins explaining this. He really says this better than I ever could.
I'm not hungry.
This might seem strange at first because Po is always hungry, but remember,
You eat when you are upset.
which he does multiple times. So his real victory is not needing any comfort food, and also realizing that he still has more to learn.
Man, that prison is really f***ing far away, dude.
Yeah, so?
I don't see why it's such a big deal that Tigress falls. She can just do a flip right before she hits the ground and she'll be fine.
It's possible there's water down there.
I know we have taken some pretty serious liberties with physics in the movie, but Mantis holding the rope bridge with all his friends on it seems far-fetched even for the universe filled with kung fu fighting animals.
This isn't the first time you've questioned cartoon physics, though. Not to mention, it's implied that Mantis has super strength.
I love how the 5 are renowned for their greatness, but due to the movie's overhyping of the Dragon Warrior, 4 of the 5 can't take out a bad guy together, which is some bullshit. Bruce Lee was a badass, but against 4 other badasses, he'd have lost, dog.
That's the point the movie is making. This is why Po is needed, because Tai Lung has grown too strong. Even the Furious 5 can't beat him. And don't say 4 of the 5 there. Mantis moved the bridge the way he did, which helped them. So all of them worked together, but even they couldn't stop him.
That should have killed him, right? Is he dead? I'm willing to suspend disbelief for animal kung fu scenes that involve a mantis holding up a giant rope bridge filled with tigers and leopards, but smacking into the rocks like that is gonna bust up a skull. Never mind.
Hypocrisy.
Why is the nerve attack accompanied with a Pink Floyd laser show on the recipient's body?
Nobody cares.
Also, why not just kill them?
I'll allow Shifu to explain why Tai Lung doesn't kill them.
I thought we could stop him.
He could have killed you. Why didn't he? So you could come back here and strike fear into our hearts, but it won't work.
It might. I mean, a little. I'm pretty scared.
Yep, he paralyzed 4 of the 5 and left the flying one to return them home, but somehow also allowed all that to happen before his own arrival. Paralyzed these 4 and then, what, wait in the bushes for a while? Watch Netflix? The f*** did this guy wait around so long for? And if you tell me it's so the 5 would all make it home in time to make the battle a challenge, I'll tell you he's the worst bad guy ever. He doesn't want to win. He f***ing wants to lose, but only when facing everyone.
Oh my gosh, Tai Lung wants to make them afraid of him. It even works on Po. I am so sick of repeating these points.
He's too fast! Sorry, Po.
For those of you keeping score at home, that's 5 lines for Mr. Chan.
No, that wasn't. You even played a clip of Monkey saying this.
Po?
And he also said this.
It's Shifu.
And this.
We got this! Help her!
Was bigger.
Tigress, you've got to try.
That was his 8th line, so you are a liar.
Come, little one. Let's find your mama.
Maybe they realized they didn't give Jackie Chan enough to say as this movie went on, so they wrote in some complete sentences for him, even though what he says still contributes nothing to the story.
So wait, you said that last line was his 5th line, and then you showed him say this, which makes 6, but you've said at least 3 times that Jackie Chan has 7 lines. You can't even lie correctly.
To make something special, you just have to believe it's special.
The old "there's actually nothing special about blank, you just have to believe in yourself" cliche.
Which is a great message, and it's something I'm glad this movie did.
But when Oogway said otherwise, what did you do?
This flashback of Oogway saying no is different from the other flashback of Oogway saying no. Did Oogway tell Shifu and Tai Lung that he couldn't have the Dragon Scroll 2 separate times? Or was Tigress just completely making up that previous flashback in her own mind?
The flashback to Tigress had just showed Oogway not liking Tai Lung's fighting, The flashback that Tai Lung showed is the scene where Oogway said no.
There's a terrible draft at the Hall of Warriors. Someone should shut a window so those peach tree petals stop coming in.
You do realize there was a big hole in the front door, right?
Holy that building was brittle. The goose pig or rabbit that conducted the building inspection clearly didn't check the load-bearing studs.
How is it you still don't realize that Tai Lung is super strong?
Matrix Pandalutions.
Jeremy makes a pop culture reference.
Poe basically Jar Jars himself through this entire movie.
Wow, literally 2 in a row.
You want to get something to eat?
So now that Poe is officially the Dragon Warrior, he and Shifu have the same relationship as college roommates.
Judging by the next movie, which again came out before this video, this is wrong. Gosh darn it, this is maybe the most times I've ever repeated myself in a video ever.